actually do the power rankings before we go any further?
Yeah, I think so. Listen, it's a very, very difficult one to do, but I think we'll give it a go. Will we both agree with the top one? Is that like there's very, very few things I think our teams and positions we'll agree on, but will we both agree that in terms of
I think we'll agree on everything here. Like we have
but there's going to be a fair bit of horse trading. And you think someone is 2, I think it's 4. There'll be 3 or whatever. Or I think someone is 2 and you think they're 10, and you'll eventually agree with me and put them in at 2. Do you know what I mean?
You are a bully. Like there's no doubt about that. You're a real bully, and I never thought I'd be. As a kid, I was bullied once or twice. Don't want to make everyone feel bad for me, but didn't think someone like you would be bullying me. Right, start off. Who's number 1? Who is your number 1 in the power rankings?
I think Ballygunner are a clear number 1 because they're definitely no worse than they were last year, and they're potentially better than they were last year. Plus, they've won their county championship and are in place and know how to negotiate that gap. Like there are very few guarantees in this power rankings, but they're probably one of them.
So let's see then. I suppose if you're looking at the teams that are going to be in the mix, the Pearshik are going to be in the mix. I would imagine. I know they've got, we're not finished up in Limerick just yet, but I would make them my favourites to come out of Limerick. I'd make Thurles my favourites for Tipperary, and because it's going to be Clare against Tipperary in the semi-final there, this is based on my projections. I'd be putting Thurles high up the list. Who do you think is going to win? You think Loughrea are going to win Galway, don't you?
Just about, yeah. I think there could be a bit of a change in the guard in Galway, but saying that, maybe Thomas's will be drove by the hurt of Dunloy last year, but they are missing Davy Burke. They're going to get a tough against Sarsfields this weekend. If they get over that, they'll get a tough in the final against either Turlock or Loughrea. I just couldn't confidently put them in, but saying that, like, does that mean they're going to put Loughrea ahead of Thomas's, who are going for 6 in a row in Galway? And like, where do Ballyhale come into the situation here? Personally, I don't think they're going to win Kilkenny, but they're defending All-Ireland champions. They're going for 6 in a row in Kilkenny. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, where do you figure them in the mix here?
Well, I put Ballyhale probably number 2 here all the same. I think you just can't ignore what they've done over the years.
Yeah.
Look, they have TJ, they have...
I'm not saying like, I don't think they'll win Kilkenny. That's just been honest.
What have you got against Ballyhale?
I have absolutely nothing against them. Far from it. I do. I think O'Loughlin Gales will win Kilkenny. Been honest with you. But can you put the All-Ireland champions, the defending All-Ireland champions, despite the fact they're missing Joey Holden, Joey Cuddihy, Brian Cody and Ronan Corcoran, can you put them anywhere else but there? Like, do you think Ballyhale would win Leinster missing who they're missing if they get out of Kilkenny?
Yeah. I think if they get out of Kilkenny, they will go on, because I think they're only going to get stronger.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know about that, to be honest with you. I actually don't know, because I think they've no one really injured at the moment. I actually think they could potentially get weaker as it goes on.
Right.
Well, like, if they pick up... Like, I'll put it this way. Colin Fennelly is probably going to miss the county semi-final.
Yeah.
And I still think they'll get over the Village. Would they win a county final without him? I don't know. And the fact that he's coming back from Dubai. And you can clip this out, Pat Hoban or Adrian Mullen or whoever. I honestly think it looked like they were on their last eggs nearly the last day, and they found something. I'm just not sure how can they keep finding. But as I said, I do think the quarterfinal was the time to beat them. I'm not sure they're going to get out of Kilkenny. Now I could end up with egg on my face, but be interesting to see.
So Conor Heaney says, what is Verney basing Ballyhale not winning Kilkenny? And I think you've kind of outlined it there.
Well, they're missing the club hurler of the year, and to me, their best defender in Joey Holden. They're missing Joey Cuddihy, who would chip in with anything between 2 and 4 points per game. Who else are they missing? They're missing Brian Cody, obviously only come on the All-Ireland final, and didn't play much last year. Very, very good player anywhere from midfield up. And they're missing Ronan Corcoran as well, who's a very, very good player too. So like they don't have huge depth. That's 4 away. So that means Owen Reid, who saw very little time last year, is seeing a bit of time. That you're going deep into your reserves, I'll put it to you that way. And if Colin Fennelly is missing, that means there's one starter and your bench is coming in a bit weaker, then it's all has a knock-on effect.
I agree with this point from PWell74. You can't write off Ballyhale until they're in their cars going home, heads down in bed. Who do you think that? And I'm looking at it here. Who do you think the bookies have as the favourite to win the Leinster Championship?
The Leinster Championship, Ballyhale are definitely favourites to win the Leinster Championship, and strong favourites.
Right. So we basically have. I'm voting for Ballyhale. You're voting for O'Loughlin's, and the bookies are voting for Ballyhale. So will we just kind of split the difference and go for Ballyhale?
No, well, like listen, you'd be wrong probably not to put them number 2. I just think in 3 weeks, I don't think they'll be. I'm not sure if they'll be in the equation. And this is just, when you get a gut instinct, and I saw them the last day, and they're unbelievable. Do not get me wrong, they're unbelievable, and what they're doing is something incredible, really. They're an incredible bunch, the best club team of all time. But I think the time comes for every team, and I just think that time is coming.
Oh, Jesus Christ. How many of these words are you going to be going to be rammed down your neck?
I have no issue. I have no issue because I have unbelievable admiration for them. Unbelievable. Yeah. I think they're some of the best players of all time and the best club players of all time. Like, I honestly think, and someone stated me online, I honestly think Colin Fennelly is one of the best club players of all time. I think he's unstoppable at club level. And like, maybe I am a fool for writing off them given the players that they have. I just think they're struggling this year. I think they're holding on. And listen, maybe they'll hold on and get over the line. And if they do, maybe they'll go through Leinster. I don't see it at the minute.
Yeah, look, I agree with the points you're making, but I still do think they'll get across the line. And like you've said many times about how you feel about St. Thomas has been a great club. And last year, question them still, there was a WhatsApp flying around about you questioning them. So all that'll matter is people in Ballyhale say you wrote him off. And that's all. Like you've said how great they are. You wrote him off is all that's going to go around.
Yeah, I think if I got half attacked by Thomas's player after the county final when they won, when I'd apparently written them off, even though the next word I used was "but," and I changed the set. I went, you know what I mean? But listen, I think the Ballyhale lads would laugh over it and they nearly wagged the finger at you, saying you probably motivate us if they do get over the line.
All right, so who's next in the pecking order then?
Richard Hogan asked a good question. Is it only one from each county?
I think we'll have to, because we're kind of projecting who we think will win.
Okay, I don't like not having O'Loughlin's in the top 10 because I think
they're
fair enough. Well, they did bring us down for an All-Ireland preview show, Shane. Now, don't forget that, in fairness now. But I will say, I think they're the most likely Leinster winners if they win Kilkenny, because traditionally that's what they've done. He beat them in one, actually, did he?
We did, yeah. I'll give you the draw here for Leinster as well. So it's Camross against Kildare, Nevena of Wexford are against Offaly, Raharney are against the Dublin champions. We kind of talked about who the 4 teams are in Dublin. So the St. Vincent's against Bowden and Nafina against Lucan. Then you've got Mount Leinster Rangers against the Kilkenny champions. So then what you'll see is the team from number 1, which will be Camross or Naas, where I'm assuming Naas, will be against Raharney or the Dublin winners. And you'll have Nevena or Kilcormac maybe, or Shinrone. I'm just being a little bit, just winding people up there a small bit. They'll be up against the winners of... Sorry, who's that? Yeah. So that'll be against the winners of Mount Leinster Rangers or the Kilkenny champions.
I tell you, I wouldn't like to be the Kilkenny winners, and if it's Ballyhale, go and play Mount Leinster Rangers. They got out of jail down in Carlow a couple of years ago. That's a horrible, horrible quarterfinal draw.
Yeah, and the draw in Munster, so that will see. Let me just check the draw again. I know that on one side it's the Clare champions against the Tipperary champions, and the winners.
There's a nice, and the winners play. It's Waterford Cork on one side. It's Tip, Clare, and Limerick on the other. Am I right in saying?
Yeah, so it's Ballygunner. They're against the winners of Middleton and Sars. So then, and the winners of the Limerick Championship, they'll be against the Waterford or the Cork team, and then Kildangan or Thurles against Clonara or Croucheen. So I'd say for that reason, we've already said that Ballygunner are going to get through. So that means we're saying that Napirsig, Patrickswell, Kilmallock or Doon, whoever comes through Limerick, they're out. We're saying. But who of the Limerick teams do you think is going to get furthest?
Will O'Donoghue is still out for Napirsig and is obviously a big, big loss. I think he's supposed to be back if they get to a county final. He'll be back in around that time. Will he be back to himself or not? I'm not sure. I have a funny feeling the Well are going to win. The Well are going to win Limerick. But based on, like, Napirsig gave it to Ballygunner last year for, 40, 45 minutes? That's pretty strong form. you'd have to say. And they obviously have the previous of, they're one of the few teams probably left that have won in All Ireland recently as well. So I'd have na Piarsaigh up high. Like looking up the north as well, the Ulster champions are gone from last year in Dunley. How high do you rate either Lochiel or Cushendall? Where do Schlockneil come into the equation? I don't know if it's one from each county, Shane. I'm not sure. Because I don't like having O'Loughlin's not in the 10. I wouldn't like having Loughrea not in the 10 if Thomas is worrying, if you get me. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. All right, okay. We can have wiggle room. I think we all
let's just disrespect more people and put in a couple of counties and everybody can be cheesed off with us.
Well, the only thing though, Verney, is like which teams do we think are going to get farthest? Like only one of those Limerick teams is going to get through. And more than likely, based on the odds, they're going to get beaten by Ballygunner in the semi-final. So,
yeah, no, if we're picking a Limerick team, you're picking the Piarsaigh, aren't you?
Yeah, I'd be picking them, but they'd probably be down around, even though you could make a very good case for them beating the team that's going to come through, Clare or Tipperary, they're not going to get as far in the championship as one of those two teams if we're going to stick to the idea that Ballygunner make the final.
I'd a side bet with Darragh O'Flynn, who does a lot of research for the show beforehand, and I said, how high up will Thurles be? And his initial reaction was, how high up will you have Thurles? And number 3 was what he said. And I have a feeling you want to have them right there on the podium.
I don't know if I do. I think because the Galway champions are getting through to an All-Ireland semi-final, that very much simplifies matters for whoever's there. I think we have to put them straight up there in probably third.
The Galway champions?
Yeah, I think so.
Who do you think? I think you said that you think Loughrea will win Galway a couple of weeks ago.
No, I was very unsure, but like they took them to a replay last year and it went all the way down to the very, very end. But I don't know. I think sometimes when you miss your opportunity, the champion team continues to reign. Then I know I'd just about go with St. Thomas's to retain.
Oh, yeah, I know this was my idea beforehand to do this in the show, but I didn't think it would be quite as hard as it actually is.
It's a nightmare every year we do it.
I know this is particularly bad. There's never been as much uncertainty because you don't think Thomas's are as strong because David Burke is missing. You don't think Ballyhale are strong because they're missing 4 or 5 lads, including Darren Mullen as well. The Ulster champions are gone. Yeah, it's very, very difficult. I do want Loughrea in the 10 anyway, and I want O'Loughlin's in the 10 as well.
Yeah, I just don't think we're going to be able to facilitate them because we are projecting who's going to get through. Like they're still, for you, maybe they're still one of the top 10 teams in the country. But if we're talking about who's going to win the All-Ireland, you can't have your cake and eat it here.
Okay, let's go. Where are Naas coming into the equation here?
Okay, well, let's project how they'll get on in the Leinster Championship. So they've got Cameras first.
If they win at the weekend.
Assuming they win at the weekend. I think that's a nightmare game to call.
That's not a good game for Naas. No, definitely not. But they're bringing a nice bit of experience to the table from last year that Cameras don't have, to be fair.
Yeah, I'd probably just about edge Naas to win that, assuming they come through the Kildare final.
Then it's the Dublin. It's Dublin Westmeath, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Crokes gone, I'd have Naas probably 5 or 6, I'd say.
Oh, I don't know, because if Na Fianna get through, Lucanar's just physically huge team, and they don't even have Chris Crummy, and they've been doing really well. Will they beat Na Fianna? I don't know, but I'm talking about when it gets into the real depths of winter. I think their size will really count for something a little bit more. They're already a very good team on a harder pitch, but when it gets to that, and then there's Ballyboden and St. Vincent's. Vincent's have John Heatherton flying, Pat Gilroy's the manager. You've got the McBrides going very well. Oh, this is a nightmare. But
do you know what I do when I'm tipping on a race for the paper and there's 6 or 7 Willie Mullins runners and I can't pick between them? I just veer away from them completely and pick something else. Just forget about the 4 Dublin teams. Just pick something else because you couldn't I don't know if I had to put my neck in the block. I'd probably think Bowden might come through in Dublin, but that's not with any real degree of confidence. Any of the 4 could have a realistic chance.
Na Fianna are the bookies' favourites, but I probably go with. I'm looking at I think Ballyboden's experience. No, I think Lucan. My head says Lucan are going to win it this year. I could be wrong, but
I'm probably leaning. Well, you obviously have more experience from around that championship than I do, but I'm probably leaning more on Bowden's experience, I'd say, and
Yeah.
history. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to be fair, they put away Kula quite well.
Shane, we're getting nowhere here.
No, we're not.
Let's start putting our necks on the block here. So we've 1 and 2 sorted. Who's number 3?
Okay, well, this is what I have at the moment.
This is very similar to last year.
Yeah, but like, I think Schlockneil's experience probably will have to give them the edge, won't it? In the conversations we're having.
Yeah. Who do you think? You think Cushendall win Antrim?
Yeah. And I just think Schlockneil have had the edge in Ulster outside of against Dunloy. So I think we kind of have to nudge towards them.
Yeah, I'd have them up pretty high, I'd have to say. Then where do your beloved Thurles Sarsfields come in?
I would say, you see, I think Thurles will win, and I think they'll then get into the Munster final. So I'd say they'd be close enough to being next in the running. What do you think?
See, I agree with Conor Heaney here. I don't know if it's a power rankings. I think it's just predicting semi-finals. And of the top 4 there, I think only one will be in. I think potentially only one will be in the All-Ireland semi-finals, and that's Ballygunner.
Okay, well then, like, what way would you want this top 4? We're going more.
I probably wanted something like Ballygunner 1. I'd have Loughrea in the 4. I'd probably have them 4 maybe. I'd probably have. Yeah, would have, yeah. I would have, yeah. And I'd probably have Cushendall just outside it in 5 because I think they'll win at the weekend, and I think they'll get to an Ulster final at the least.
We have to factor in the draw and the path to the All Ireland here. Like, just because we have Schlockneil 4 and St. Thomas's 3, it doesn't mean we think they're the 3rd and 4th best in the country. Like, we are, like, when we do a power rankings for inter-county, we are allowing for the fact that only 3 teams can get out of Munster. So you can't have, although then again, we did have all 5 Munster teams ahead of the Leinster teams at the very end of last
year. Yeah, I know you're saying, like, Na Piarsaigh haven't even won Limerick yet. But I know you're saying that you think they'll be beaten in a Munster semi-final. I still think they deserve to be high up.
Yeah, they do deserve to be high up.
Like 5 or 6, I'd say.
Yeah, but and Joe, what? It's an interesting thing here. Would Thurles win the Limerick, Shane? I don't think so. Well, I've watched them a lot this year, and I think they're as good as any team in Limerick. And, like, I don't think they're going to be far. Yeah, big time.
Jeez, I disagree with you there now.
Like, I've watched them in most of their games this year, and I'd be very strong on that point.
I think there's about 5 or 6 point gap between the winners in Tip and the winners in Limerick.
Very interesting. Okay, well, look, you seem very strong on. Okay, so what's your top 5 then? So obviously you're strong on the Limerick champions there, and you think Patrick's Well are going to win it?
No, I just have a feeling for them, but that's like I don't think the Well will go on a run in Munster though.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And they haven't. The last couple of times they've won it, they probably haven't gone on a run. Whereas Na Piarsaigh have been to All Ireland semi-finals, they've been to an All Ireland final, they've won it. They were really competitive against Ballygunner last year. Yeah, I'd be happy enough with that, being honest with you. Yeah, Schlockneil, Thomas's. I think. Oh yes, you're speaking my language now.
Well, like, I'm not entirely agreeing, but I just want to throw it in there. Would you?
Well, I think that's a fair representation of the 10 or the 7 so far, anyway, rather than just going with, as I said, Ballyhale are 2, and I don't think they'll win Kilkenny, but they're there and they've so much credit in the bank.
And so, where does the Offaly team come in here?
Richard Hogan, Shane, just let Verney pick it his way, then you can slate him if it goes wrong.
Yeah,
but listen, the great thing about it is that, like, it could be gone. Like, so it could be gone so wrong in a couple of weeks. Like Loughrea number 4 could be out this weekend. There could be so many things could happen for me to be left with egg on my face.
So do you still want O'Loughlin's in there?
I do, because I think at the tail end it'd be fine for me now, being honest with you.
And what about Kilcormac and Shinrone?
Well, like if you're basing like Shannon were hockeyed by Naas last year, Naas have to be higher up that conversation than either of the Offaly parents, to be honest with you. No Offaly team has been in a Leinster final since he gave Kilcormac a bit of a trimming in Portlaoise, and the day Conor Matton was sent off. I actually kind of like what I'm looking at here now. Killadangan will feel hard done by because they've been around the final stages in Tipperary the last couple of years, haven't got over the line maybe more than the once in 2020, but they probably fancy their chance of getting. It's funny, if Killadangan win Tipperary, do they get to a Munster final potentially? We've probably slighted Clare teams here as well. But Clare teams don't have a good record in the Munster Championship in the last couple of years.
Like, this is a nightmare. I think we've done this before and it's been a nightmare, but this is a real nightmare. I don't think O'Loughlin Gales should be in there, I'll be honest.
Okay, just give me who you think should be in ahead of them or instead of them.
Yeah, well, I think you could make a case for, let's see, right? You want Ballyboden in there, so that's fair enough straight off the bat. Look, I'm torn. I'm so torn. I'm finding this really, really difficult. Probably.
But sure, listen, Shane, Ballyboden could be out with the weekend. Like, you throw a blanket over the four that are left in Dublin. It's probably just the history, maybe, and the fact that, as Joe said, of the four that are left, Ballyboden are the only ones that have won it in the last good while. You know?
Yeah, I've been bullied according to Harold 6. Go through one of the next high ball. Like, what about Clonlara here?
How? Like, do you think they'll win Clare?
Could do.
They could do, yeah. But like, yeah. Listen, this is by far and away the hardest club power rankings we've ever had to do, and the one with definitely the most variables. Listen, that's why it's kind of good crack to put your head on the block at this stage.
Yeah, it was all talk about how we were putting our head on the block at the start of the show, but I'm very disgusted with it at this stage. Okay, so let's run through that. Ballygunner number 1, we're both happy with that. Shamrocks, Ballyhale, I'm happy to have them number 2, and if they got more lads back, they could be back number 1. The Piercing 3, yeah, I think they're a really strong team, and I'm predicting that they'll win Limerick and get to Munster semi-final. There's a reason we don't have a Cork team in here, because we probably think that they'll bow out, in the first round of Munster. Loughrea then, so you're fairly sweet in them to win it, and Thomas is just right beside them. So obviously we have them neck and neck. Schlockneil, we both fancy to come through Ulster, even though, won't be easy, but we fancy that. I think Thurles will get to a Munster final. Again, I could be wrong, but we're trying to put our necks on the block here. Naas, we're both thinking that they'll probably beat Camross. We could be totally wrong, but that's what we're thinking will happen. And they'll have a fair old go against Raharney or the winners of Dublin. You think O'Loughlin Gales will be there? Not gone on that. And let's say Ballyboden won Dublin, then they'd jump up a few more. It's just because they have 2 more games to play, and Naas are such heavy favourites for their Kildare final. It's not that we think Ballyboden are worse than Naas or any of the other Dublin teams. It's just based on where we're at, that probably makes more sense for us.
If I was to do one thing, I would probably push O'Loughlin Gales to 10 and push out Ballyboden and push in Cushendall at 9. What do you think?
I'd be happy to throw O'Loughlin's out altogether. Now, I have to pull you at some stage.
I'll give you that one. So,
okay, people, what do you think? Are we at nothing here? Keep your comments coming.
I'd probably switch Cushendall and Ballyboden, but I know I would. I'd actually I've given you getting rid of O'Loughlin Gales. I'd switch the 2 of them around, and then I think we've a good 10. Listen, I think it's good at the moment. This is like Tuesday of Cheltenham at 1:25. Everybody has all the answers. Everybody's an expert. In a couple of weeks, we'll probably be showing up. But listen, you like to look into the crystal ball and keep a look ahead and see what might be down the line.
Yeah, look, we've had a pop. We might be totally wrong, but there's our 1 to 10 as things stand on the 9th of October, and no doubt things will change. SSRI says no mention of the Wexford champions even.
Well, now, if you go back to the Raps were hammered by Clock Balacalla in 2021. Nevena were hammered the last time they won it. I think Ballyhale hit them for 6 goals down in Wexford Park. Ferns were beaten last year. Like, the record is not good. You have to go back to Oulart, really. And that was an exceptional Oulart team. So I think that's fair enough. Plus, you're going to Navan had probably been kicking football for the last while, like, and probably been doing a bit of training or whatever, but the Wexford teams haven't negotiated the break well at all. And I'm as competitive as Wexford is, like, is the quality unbelievably high? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair enough to leave them out.
And that long time waiting in the wings, I don't think is going to stand to them. It's 1998-99 since a team other than Owlert got to Leinster Club final. So I think that's why we've kind of pushed them out. Maybe we didn't really communicate that, but that was probably how we were both feeling.